Hey everyone, and welcome to another production by MOBAFIRE TV. I'm Blakinola, and this is the Kunkka Guide, written by Hades. Kunkka is a melee strength hero whose main role is to burst down the enemy team using his long-range cleave and AoE spells. Today, we're going to focus on Kunkka's semi-carry role that's played in public matches. Kunkka isn't played very much in competitive matches because his spells are difficult to land, but if played correctly, he can deal huge amounts of damage to multiple targets, taking them down before they even knew what hit them. Kunkka's first skill is Torrent, which lifts enemies in the air after a 2-second delay, dealing damage, stunning, and slowing them. You'll want to try to cast this when you're out of enemy sight. If they see you try and cast the skill, they're going to run out of the way to avoid damage. Kunkka's next skill is Tidebringer. His legendary sword grants him increased damage and cleaves a large area of effect in front of him for a single strike. At max level, its range is 600. Kunkka's third skill is X marks the spot. This spell marks the hero's position with an X, and returns it to the X after several seconds, or when Kunkka activates the skill again. You can use this to make sure your torrent hits its intended target. Finally, Ghost Ship, Kunkka's ultimate. Kunkka summons a ghost ship 1,000 units behind him, and then it lands 1,000 units in front of him. The boat has a large AoE and deals damage and stuns everyone it hits. It's pretty difficult to land this since it takes about 3 seconds for the ship to hit its target, but it also gives a movement speed buff to your allies for a few seconds. Start out with a point and Tidebringer. It'll be helpful in lane to harass your enemy and farm safely. Next, level up Torrent, which you won't be using too much in early game, only if you have a lane partner like Shadow Demon who can help you land your Torrent. Moving on, you'll want to have Tidebringer maxed at level 7 and Torrent by level 9. Continue by leveling up X marks the spot, which you'll probably use to catch fleeing enemies or to land your Torrent, which with practice, you'll never miss a Torrent in combination with this skill. Of course, level up your ultimate at level 6, 11, and 16. When you've maxed out everything, go on and level up some stats. For the laning phase, let's pick up some stats. So start out with a Circlet, a Gauntlet of Strength, and an Iron Branch. These will help you make last hitting and surviving a bit more easy. For regeneration, pick up a Tango and a Healing Salve. These will give you sustain in lane for as long as possible. Since Kunkka needs damage to hit hard with his Tidebringer, get Phase Boots and a Bracer as soon as possible. These will increase your damage. Moving on, the Drum of Endurance might be a good next option. Since you already have the Bracer, you'll get it pretty fast. If someone from your team though was already getting it, there's no point in building it again. So move on to the next item, which will be Shadow Blade, which will provide you with damage, attack speed, and invisibility so you can escape or initiate. Since Kunkka needs even more damage, Crystallis will help you with that, providing you with damage and crit chance, which goes very well with Tidebringer. It's late game. Heroes are more durable, but that's no problem for Kunkka, since you're going to get even better items now. Start by upgrading your Crystallis to Daedalus. You'll get more damage and more crit strike to be even stronger. If you die too fast, you'll probably need to get some survivability. A Black King Bar, a Heart of Tarask, or even Satanic will fix this problem. For extra attack speed and armor, an Assault Cuirass will be great. If you play smart and enter the fight at the right moment, you probably won't die, so you can pick up a Monkey King Bar to boost your damage. It'll also prevent you from missing attacks. If you have a big advantage, you can even buy a Divine Rapier, which will enable you to one-hit some of the enemy heroes. But keep in mind, it's a really risky endeavor. You might lose the game if you die and drop it. Early game is pretty straightforward. You'll do what any carry has to do, survive and farm as much as possible. With your Tidebringer, you'll keep your enemy away from farm pretty easily. So use Tidebringer to kill creeps that you can't reach fast. If you can get last hits and damage your opponent in the same time, make sure to do that with Tidebringer. You might even get a kill if you're lucky. In the mid game, Kunkka's really effective in team fights, so make sure not to miss any. Even if you don't have good enough positioning to land your Torrent and Ghost Ship combo, every 4 seconds you deal huge damage with your Tidebringer cleave. If no fight's going on, try to farm as much as possible. Push the lanes with your Shadow Blade. The best moment to do this is when the enemy team is trying to push another lane. You'll get a trade or force them to go back to save their tower. Late game, you'll one-shot creep waves with your cleave. You're awesome at pushing and anti-pushing, so make sure to take advantage of that. But don't do it when your team needs you. Do it only when the enemy team is disadvantaged and your team can handle team fights 4-man. Also, when there's a team fight happening, try to be there to deal huge AoE damage to win the fight. Also, try not to get caught alone when you're pushing. If you die, your team might not be able to handle it and you could lose towers, barracks, and worse, the game. So think about your moves carefully. As always, thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe to MOBAFIRE TV. If you want to see a guide for a specific hero, let us know. MOBAFIRE TV is sponsored by PDP Gaming Hardware.